Hi folks, in today's guide I'd like to talk a little bit about invasions. After you play, your first game or so, especially the African campaign, and you get used to playing the game, one of the other scenarios that you should jump into is the 1944 scenario. The reason why I like this scenario, especially to play before the 1939 scenario, which is the full campaign, is if we take a look at what's happening here, we have the Allies about to perform the D-Day invasion. You have the USSR pushing in towards Germany, and you have a third front in Italy cutting into the underbelly of the Axis power as the Commonwealth wanted. Now, the reason why I like this is, well, you have multiple fronts to actually work with. One thing I found with this game, when you start playing it, you almost always forget to do something. So this is actually a good game to play because there's actually a lot to do. You have to move the Russians forward and you have to break through the Italian front. But more importantly, what I want to work on today is you have to take the Allies and you have to invade into Europe for the famous D-Day invasion. Now, one of the things when you're dealing with strategy itself, you should always play your strength into their weaknesses. And as you can see right here, that enemy, the Axis, the Germans, don't have much air units here, whereas at the beginning of the game, you have a ton of air units for the Allies. And we're going to try to use that to our advantage the best that we can while trying to be able to invade Europe. Now, I want to bring your attention first to how to go about invading and what you need to invade. So if we go into the production screen here, I'm going to stick with the United Kingdom here. And what I'd like you to kind of look at here are transports and landing ships. So if you want to perform an invasion, well, you need transports to get there. You get to keep those. But to be able to land on a beach, you're going to need landing ships. So you're going to have to build those in advance. Usually, well, unless it changes, so at least up until version 8.1, the way it works is for each land unit, one strength of land unit, you'll need one landing craft. It's double for armor. So in other words, one strength of armor requires you to have two landing craft to be able to perform the actual invasions themselves. Some other things that you need to know is weather-wise, you can only perform invasions in clear and rain weather. So if it's raining really hard, heavy rain, blizzard, snow, you can't perform invasions at all. So only during clear and rain weather you're allowed to actually perform invasions. Furthermore, the last point that I want to bring up is if your unit is in garrison mode, you can transport it, but you will not be able to do an invasion. And I just want to basically take some time out today, break this video up into parts if I can. The first part is I just want to take a look at the invasion, and I also want to bring up where you actually purchase the landing ships and how much time it would take for you to prepare for an invasion. So for example, if the UK wants to spend some money now to actually buy some landing ships, they come in groups of 10. They cost 25 production points at this particular time, but notice it takes 90 days to build. So if you're planning an invasion, you have to really take a look at, well, and you also need shipyards to do it. So you're going to have to remember that it's going to take 90 days to build 10 of them. And with 10 of them, you'll only be able to carry a 10 strength land unit. So to get a full strength land unit, I'm going to need 30 of the landing crafts. So if I look at this, and I'm looking at this particular unit with strength 30 here, so you can see the strength right here, I'm going to need 30 landing craft to be able to invade with this particular unit. If I look at the armor unit here, so here's the armor unit here, it's also of strength 30, Well, I'm going to need double the landing craft. I'm going to need 60 landing craft to be able to land that particular unit. So you're going to have to really plan ahead, because if I'm building in groups of 10 all the time and it takes 90 days to actually build it, I'm going to have to at least plan in 90 days ahead what I want to be able to invade. And a lot of people get frustrated with that, because sometimes, oh wow, the opportunity to invade is there and you don't have the landing craft, which goes into another type of strategy. Always have some landing craft at hand, so that if an opportunity arises that you can actually capture a port and invade, you can do so. So keep that in mind. Now, when I'm looking at my invasion force here, I've got all my units. None of them seem to be embarked here. This unit is by itself on a port, which I don't like. And I look at this unit, and the next unit above, there's some ships that can help me with the invasions themselves. So I've got a bunch of units here that I wanted to actually invade. I have paratroopers here also. So notice with a paratrooper, if I click on it and then I right mouse click, as soon as I right mouse click, right now I'm not doing anything, I'm just moving my cursor over a spot. You can see with the efficiency at 100%, the paradrop, and it's going to be a night mission, lights up. So if I right mouse click, that unit will go to that one spot and hopefully not be intercepted by air units. So what I want to do is I want to plan some sort of invasion. I know in the D-Day invasion that the Allies landed in this particular location here, which is great. I could do that and recreate that, no problem if I want to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to land near Brest. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to do things a little bit different. I'm going to land here. Now, when you're planning an invasion, you want to be able to make sure you're near a port. Because if you don't capture a port, you're not going to be able to supply your units. And we've learned from other guides that if you can't supply your unit, what will end up happening is it'll eventually starve and whittle away, and it's easier to actually destroy. Okay, so keep that in mind. So what I want to be able to do is capture Brest. I have no information on that. So for example, if I were to click on this unit, I don't know what's garrisoning it. I know that there's a unit there. I know there's a unit on all these locations, but I don't know the strength of that particular unit. So to be able to see the strength of that particular unit, what ends up happening is I'm going to have to land beside it, and that'll allow me to remove the fog of war. But one of the things I've learned when it comes to strategy, you have to play your strength against an enemy's weakness out of all of it. So what I don't want to happen is, hopefully this is not an armor unit that I'm walking into. So I want to be able to weaken some of these units that I want to take advantage of. And this is where my air units come into play. So if I look at my strength here, I have a ton of air units. Whereas when I look at the Germans, they don't have too many, not as many as I do. I have my tactical bombers, I have strategic bombers, and so forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a little devil advocate here and do something that might be considered a little gamey. But I'm going to take one of my strat bombers, I'm going to put it in strat bomb mode, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of the German air units to react to that. Now, I'm going to start off with bombing their oil because I know Germany requires their oil. So you can see here one of their fighters reacted. I did some damage. I got 2, but I've got a lot of these things. So I'm just going to kind of spread out the damage here. There's a plane over here repair, so I'm going to attack here, ruin. And good, so it kind of reacted to that. I know that it can only react twice, so the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is I'm limiting the amount of attacks, and this way I might be able to get my paratroopers down without any kind of interference whatsoever. So I bombed there, it didn't react to it, so that's good. I'm going to do some tactical bombing here on some units. Remember, I want to be able to deal some blows to Brest here because I wanted to be able to invade it and attack it afterwards. So again, I didn't do any damage here. I'm going to try one more time. Nope, no luck. but that's okay. I've got plenty of these things. Hopefully I'll be able to do some sort of damage. I'm going to spread it out a bit here. And yeah, this is reducing my efficiency level at this point in time, but at the same token, I believe that the amount of damage that I'd like to be able to do is hopefully dropping their efficiency level a little bit. Now, air attacks themselves diminish in effectiveness the more you do them on a particular unit. This changed as rules kind of came into play that allowed air units to decimate actual ground units. They were kind of overpowered. So over time, what ended up happening was the units themselves were made a little bit less effective from our point of view. Now, what I want to be able to do is I want to have some close support here when I do an attack. Maybe I shouldn't have used one of these here. So I'm going to bring this unit over so that it's in range for close support when I do land in Brest, because I wanted to actually support my units. So notice here I put it in full support mode. I'm going to throw this one in full support mode so that this way I have some units here that are going to be able to support my land attack. Make sure my fighters themselves are also in full support mode so that this way they can support. And I'm going to start off with my first invasion from Plymouth. Now, when you go to Plymouth itself, I've got an infantry unit here, the 5th Corps, and what you need to do is embark it on a ship. To be able to do that, you just click on the transport icon button there. Now, I have a bunch of vessels that can go with it, but I'm not going to bring all of them with me. But I do want some support vessels, and the reason why I want some support vessels is if the transport is attacked, those vessels do provide support for it because transports are more vulnerable, and as a result they lower the profile of your transport so that it becomes a little bit safer. Now I'm just going to bring a destroyer and a battleship, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to come off of the southern west side of Brest here. So I'm going to go to this position. So notice I'm on the unit itself. I've selected the transport, the destroyer, and the battleship. I'm going to move to the location where I want to invade. I'm going to need at least one OP point to actually invade the land itself. So now right mouse clicking here, I have now my ship in that particular location. I see that I have one OP point. Now I can go to the show invasion hexes here. So it was the same as the transport hex, but now it's changed. The icon looks a little bit different. And when I left mouse click on it, it shows me the locations where my land units can actually disembark. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in a bit and disembark here, leaving me 2 op points left to hopefully attack Brest or this Lorient here as a port. I want to be able to capture a port on my first turn. That's vitally important. Even though it won't have supply on the first turn, by capturing a port, I'll feel much more at ease knowing that I'll be able to supply my units in the future. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to embark this particular unit here. So I'm going to go to my transport, put it on a ship. Again, I don't want to take all of these with me here. So I'm going to take the transport, a destroyer, and I think I'm going to take another battleship here. And in this situation, I'm going to come to this location. Again, I'm going to click the locations for disembarking, and I'm going to disembark in that particular location here. Now, what I want to be able to do is maybe get a paratroop division to land here. So the question is, where are my airborne divisions? Well, one of them is here. The other one, I believe, is here. But this one here can't reach. But how about this one? So I'm going to move over, and you can see how this thing highlights I'm not clicking anything. I'm just moving the mouse over to locations where it can be. And where I want it to be is right there, and I'm going to right mouse click, and it is successfully landed, which makes sense because what ended up happening is, if you recall, I kept attacking in this particular location here, so that this particular air unit, the German air unit here, would exhaust its operation points for my particular turn. I can see this unit is pretty strong from my point of view. I do have some bombers here for close support. I'm just going to go one shot in this again, just to see if it does anything, and it's holding strong. Good for it. I have 2 shots at it with 2 operation points, hopefully to be able to get this unit out of this port. I've got 5-to-1 odds here, so notice here all the units are attacking, so that's pretty good. Because this is in garrison mode, it's really like 50% of its strength. I attack, and lo and behold, what ends up happening is I've captured that port. I can move into it with any one of my units here. But what I'm going to do here, now that this is cleared out of the way here, I'm going to embark my headquarters, because headquarters are really good for my units. They provide extra supply and support. So again, I'm going to bring my headquarters over with my destroyer here. And I'm going to come in here and again plan an invasion and actually enter into the port itself out of all of it. So I've done pretty good. What I've done is I've captured a port. The port is of size 5, so it'll be able to supply 100 strength points. I might want to put another unit here as a little bit of extra support. And then what I want to be able to do is set up for the next round of invasions. So there is a British unit here that's ready to go. And what I'm going to do again is I'm going to embark it. And then I'm bringing it over with a destroyer, so that provides it a little bit of support. I'm going to park it right here, and again, this air unit is ineffective at this point in time. And oh no, what happened? Did I forget my unit? Yes, I did. I brought the wrong ones over. Well, that's no good. Can I undo that? Yes, I can. Or maybe I can't. Unfortunate. Oh, I lost it. Oh, wow. Well, there you go, folks. The spoils of war. What ended up happening is I actually lost the actual unit I wanted to land. Not cool. Not cool at all, but it happens. No, I made a mistake. I picked on the wrong one. My apologies, folks. There's the unit there. It's embarked. I'm going to come by here, and what I'm going to do is disembark, and there I am, and I'm going to move in at 1 unit. There you go. So I made a mistake, which usually happens, and lo and behold, recovery. I'm kind of curious to see where this is. Ooh, that's going to be a tough battle for sure. I've landed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. That's 13, 25, 31, 43, 47 strength points. I know that I'm going to be able to support that because this is a port 5, and 5 times 20 is 100. So these units will be supported, no problem. So I'm happy with that. I've my ships here to support them. It'll be interesting to see what the Germans do to counteract that. Now comes the next step of my invasion. Well, what ends up happening is I've got other ships ready to go, but the only problem is my units aren't set up to be able to invade. I could move one more unit over, probably very safely, and place him in this spot here if I'd like. The reason being is that this air unit here, right at this point in time, is ineffective. And it would free up a port spot, but now this is where I need to move units, getting them ready for next round. So I'm going to take this armor unit and I'm going to move it to Plymouth. So it's ready to go on the next turn because I want to again continue invading. I have a choice now of landing inside the port if I can expand this bridgehead here. Or maybe I can pick a different location to actually invade. So keep that in mind. I'm going to take this unit here and I'm going to move it into this port. And this unit here, which is another core, and I'm going to get it ready with that port. So you can see I'm getting everything ready for the next stage in my invasion. Now I really want that port free, so I'm going to take a chance here. I usually don't, but I'm going to embark this particular unit. I'm pretty sure that that air unit cannot do anything. I'm going to come around the corner here and I'm going to pick my disembark here. And I'm disembarked, and will it allow me to move out? Yes, it will. Perfect. And I've joined my friends and gotten another unit on board here. But more importantly, this allows me to place my armor units here so that I can again possibly invade. My headquarters is ready to go. I've got this covered, this port here, this port here. There's another port here which doesn't have any ships. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, again, I like having some support for my vessels themselves. So I'm going to take a destroyer, and you can see what it tried to do is intercept that, and a cruiser to help with this one. This one's got ships. Let's just make sure that it's got the ones that I want. Yes, it does. This one here has ships. Yes, it's got cruisers and destroyers. Battleships, gotta love it. And here I'm going to turn around and say, okay, if that's the case here, I'm going to move this unit over to this spot, and I'm going to take this unit and move it into that spot. So it's ready to go. And I'm also going to give it a vessel or two because I want to make sure it's safe when it travels. And I'm going to bring a battleship over there so that you can see now I'm set up to go for the next turn, basically. My subunits are here. I can go out with my subunits if I want. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to move this unit over here. So if I want to use it afterwards to be able to move it somewhere, I can as an extra support role. As such, I might be able to give it some sort of vessel. I'm going to go up to Scapa Flow here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide it a battleship and a destroyer to provide support just in case I want to go that route. And I noticed I didn't bring any carriers here. I could have brought carriers, but in this game, carriers seem to be used a lot more with submarines and attacking subs. I like the headquarters there, but I know London is a port, so I'm going to go with the stronger unit here. And I've got a bunch of other units that are almost set up ready to go to continue the invasion. But you can see here that I've done a successful invasion of England, and now I'm just going to move to the other parts of the program itself and perform some other actions. So I'm going to stop right here with this particular one. This was a successful invasion. Just to recap a little bit, if you're planning an invasion, what you're going to need to buy is you're going to need to buy landing ships. You get them in groups of 10, and if you notice, remember it takes 90 days to actually build landing ships, and you're going to need for each strength point of land, you're going to need one landing craft. But if you're dealing with armor, one strength of armor, you're going to need 2 landing crafts out of it, double the amount. So keep that in mind, 90 days to build and how many you're going to need to actually create and be able to perform a successful invasion. Now keeping that in mind, I'm going to go to Russia here, and let's suppose, just for the sake of, craziness here, Russia plans on invading Finland in, let's say, 90 days plus or whatever. I don't know, because it's in May, June, July, August, let's say October. So if that's the case, if Russia wants to invade Finland, well, I'm going to have to go to Russia here, and I'm going to see that they've got 30 shipyards available for builds. I'm going to turn around and I want to be able to send at least 3 units there. Whether or not I'm going to be able to build them all at one time, we'll see. But the production is 25 productions, and that will actually build 10. So I'm going to turn around, I'm going to fill up all my shipyards. So I can do this 6 times because each one of these is 5 shipyards. So notice here, I'm going to build 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 60 landing ships. So I can bring 3 30-size armies, if I want, into the invasion force. And it's going to take me 90 days to free up those shipyards. Again, if I need more, what will end up happening is I will need another 90 days to build them. And when you take a look at the Russian units here, 30 of them just don't cut it. So if you look, their size is 36. So if I'm looking at a 1-to-1 ratio here, I'm actually going to need 36 landing crafts for each one of these infantry units that I'm going to bring across. Those are things that you have to live with when you're dealing with a larger size army as the Soviets had out of all of it. So that's invasions. That's the first part of this guide, just so that you can see how invasions work, some of the strategies to use with regard to invasions. And you can see here that the Allies have performed a successful invasion. And what they've done too is they've set up for the second stage of their invasion by moving a lot of the troops over. I would continue in this situation here using more of my air units. Again, what I would like to do is and I'm just going to use them from my point of view, just to reduce the effects of the units here, make them less efficient possibly. I still like using my Strat bombers to bomb the German oil. Yes, it does cause a lot of problems, and just like in real life, a lot of damage, but I only do it once per turn, and only when I feel that the unit is recovered, because these are very expensive. Strat bombers are extremely expensive, and you just don't want to throw them away. But that's my invasion as it stands right now, and this is just the end of part 1. I do want to take a sneak peek at one thing though, the Italian front. I have here that a unit has no supply source. So I'm going to click on it here, and I notice, oh my, there's an infantry unit here who looks like I'm going to lose it, surrounded by Germans, no supply. That's what the yellow dot is there. So when I click on it, I can take a look that it has low supply value. It's at 10% efficiency. It's about to either be killed or destroyed, which again, for me, I know it's a digital troop, but I don't like using digital troops. So I just wanted to show you this. Whenever a troop is in trouble and it finds itself that, it's in a position where, it's low in supply and there's no beachhead, well, what you can do is you can bring a vessel over to it. I think you can do it beside it, but I like to be safe. I like to put it on top. And then in this icon here, it says supply beachhead. It will use all my operational points, but when I click on it, that's left mouse click on it, one landing unit receives supply offshore from the Navy. Okay, now I've put this unit here in jeopardy because it is within the air of the Germans, but again, I have fighters here that can provide support to this particular unit. But more importantly, what I've done is, if you take a look, I've increased the supply level of my unit, and you can see by providing it with supply, it has actually increased its efficiency level. And you can see it in the numbers too. It was 1-3, but now it's 3-3. Hopefully it can withstand an attack. More than likely it probably can't. It's up against the shore, nowhere to retreat. So if it loses a battle, it will either surrender or be shattered. But at least this, I've tried to allow it to be successful in some shape or form, and hopefully it can hold out. If it can't, well, I've done my part from the point of view as a general. So once again, like I said, this concludes the first part of this. What I'd like to do is then move into strategies with Italy and the attack on Romania here in the second part. Okay, so take care for now. Bye.